I know how this sounds. The coffee machine at Three Forks Cafe makes this high-pitched whine right before it finishes, and I was standing there watching the last few drips fall into my cup when my phone buzzed against the counter. Not a call. An email. I didn't check it right away because the barista was wiping down the pastry case, and I was counting the seconds until my latte was done. 8, 7, 6. My phone buzzed again. Then again. The barista glanced at me, and I smiled like nothing was wrong. "You haven't seen the thread yet, have you?" That came from behind me. I turned, and it was Sarah from accounting, holding her own phone up like she was showing me a picture of her dog. But her face wasn't right. She looked like she'd just walked in on something she shouldn't have seen. The first email was from my boss, Tom. Subject line: Project Status Update. Timestamped 6:47 a.m. I opened it and read the first sentence. Then I read it again. The second one was a reply all from someone in legal at 7:02 a.m. saying, "This is highly unusual." By the time I scrolled to the third one, the barista was already handing me my latte, and I didn't take it. I just stood there in front of the pastry case with my phone in my hand, and I could see the red Corsair parked on the street outside because I'd backed in too close to the curb and the passenger side mirror was folded in. She was still looking at me. Sarah from accounting. She opened her mouth like she was going to say something else, but I was already reading the third email. It had gone out at 3:01 a.m. To the entire company. CC, all. The body of it was a forward of an internal thread from 3 months ago. Timestamps. Original attachments. And at the bottom of that thread, in bold, my boss's own words from a late-night reply to the project lead. "Just have the intern do it. She's got the bandwidth." I didn't even know what to do with that word. Bandwidth. Like I was a cable modem. Like I wasn't the one who'd built the thing from the ground up while he was in strategy meetings taking credit for the parts he didn't understand. My hand was still out for the latte I hadn't taken. Sarah set it on the counter for me. That's when the phone buzzed again. Tom. Calling this time. I let it go to voicemail. Here's the thing you need to understand. I'd been at this company for 6 years. 6 years of coming in before anyone else and leaving after the janitor. 6 years of my husband, Michael, telling me I was working myself into an early grave. 6 years of me saying just one more quarter, just one more push, just until I make senior director. And I made it. 8 months ago. They gave me the title and the corner office with the window that faced the freeway. 2 weeks later, Tom walked into my office and told me the Meridian project was shifting to his oversight. "Just for visibility," he said. "You still lead the work." But he took the meetings. He took the executive check-ins. He took the budget sign-offs. I still did the actual work, and he started making little changes to my decks, rearranging my slides, cutting my methodology sections down to bullet points because executives don't have time for nuance. And then he started putting his name on things. The strategy document I wrote, he added a cover page with his name as lead author and put mine on page 14 under additional contributors. I told myself it was just politics. I told myself the work spoke for itself. I told myself a lot of things. Back to the voicemail. I stood outside Three Forks with my latte finally in my hand and the morning sun hitting the red Corsair in a way that made the scratch on the driver's side door look worse than it actually was. I pressed the phone to my ear. "Diana, I need you in my office. Now." That was it. Not explaining. Not apologizing. Just a command. I called my husband instead. Michael picked up on the second ring. "You're up early." "I've been up since 5. "Right. You always are." He said it like it was a defect. Like my drive was something to be managed rather than admired. We'd been married 17 years and somewhere around year 12, he started making comments like that. Little things. The way he'd sigh when I brought work home. The way he'd say, "You're still on that." When I mentioned a deadline. "I think I might be in trouble," I said. "What kind of trouble? Work trouble?" "I think the email I sent last night went to the whole company." There was a pause. I could hear him breathing and something else in the background. A TV maybe. He was home. It was 8:15 in the morning on a Tuesday, and he was home watching TV. What kind of email? I'll explain later. "I need to go to the office." "Diana." He used that tone. The one he uses when I'm being dramatic. "Did you actually say something you can't take back?" I thought about the auto email. The scheduled send I'd set at 2:57 a.m. while sitting in my kitchen with a glass of wine and a fury that had been building for months. The forwarded thread. The evidence. The damning words that he had written with his own hands. It was going to go out at 3 a.m., and by the time I woke up at 6, it would already be in everyone's inbox. That was the plan. But I'd set the send time wrong. I'd set it for 3 p.m. instead of 3 a.m. and caught it just before I went to sleep, fixed it, watched the confirmation screen tell me the email was scheduled, and went to bed feeling something close to peace. Except somewhere between setting the schedule and falling asleep, I'd changed it again. I remembered that now. I'd been lying in bed, replaying the conversation where Tom told me the client wanted to see fresh thinking on the project, meaning they wanted to see his thinking, not mine. I'd pulled out my phone and opened the email again, and I'd added one more thing. The final slide from my original deck. The one he deleted because we don't need to show the process, just the outcomes. I attached it. I hit update. I set the time again. 3:01 a.m. And then I slept. You have to understand. I didn't do this to destroy him. I did it to prove a point. A point no one was listening to. A point I'd been trying to make for 6 months, one meeting at a time, one slide revision at a time. One more project where he took the final presentation, and I got the internal follow-up work. I got in the car and drove to the office. The drive is 22 minutes. I made it in 14. I don't remember any of it. I remember the parking garage, the way the fluorescent lights flickered on the second level, the way my heels sounded against the concrete. I remember the elevator doors opening onto the 5th floor and the silence. Everyone was in their cubes. Everyone was staring at their screens. No one was looking at me. Tom's office was at the end of the hall. Glass walls. I could see him sitting behind his desk, phone pressed to his ear, waving at me to come in like I was late for a meeting. His face was red in a way that I recognized. The way he gets when something doesn't go according to plan. I sat down. He held up a finger. Kept talking into the phone. Yes, I understand. No, I'm handling it internally. She's a junior employee. She made a mistake. We're addressing it. Junior employee. I'd been in the industry for 12 years. He'd been in it for 15. The only thing that separated us was a badge swipe and a boardroom door. He hung up and looked at me. There was sweat on his forehead even though the office was cold. What the hell were you thinking? I was thinking you should stop taking credit for my work. His mouth opened and closed. He was expecting me to apologize. He was expecting tears. He'd done this before, the exact same move, when a junior analyst had accidentally copied her team on an email that called him out. She'd cried. He'd fired her. She'd left with a box and a reference letter that said not eligible for rehire. I didn't cry. Diana, that email went to the entire company, including the board, including the client. I know. Do you know what this looks like? Do you know what this does to my reputation? Yes. He leaned forward. You're done. You're going to clean out your desk and you're going to walk out of this building, and I'm going to make sure you never work in this industry again. That's when I started laughing. I know how that sounds. You're supposed to be devastated. You're supposed to cry or plead or negotiate. But Tom had just threatened me with the one thing he couldn't deliver, and I knew it because I knew his track record. He'd made the same threat to 3 other people in the last 2 years, and all 3 of them were now working at companies that were doing better than ours. Go ahead, I said. Fire me. But I want it in writing. I want the reason. And I want you to know that I have copies of every email, every slide deck, every document with your name on it that I wrote. You can't prove anything. 3 months ago, you sent an email to the project lead that said, and I quote, just have the intern do it. She's got the bandwidth. That was included in the thread I sent out. That's a pretty clear paper trail. He went pale. That email was supposed to be confidential. It was. Until the project lead forwarded it to me asking if I was okay with the assignment. I'm paraphrasing, but the message was clear. You told him to have me do your work. And I did it. I did it because I thought if I proved myself, you'd eventually give me the credit. He didn't say anything. Instead, you gave me more work. More deadlines. More late nights. And when the board asked who led the Meridian project, you told them your name. Diana, don't. Don't do that. Don't pretend this is hard for you. You made a choice. You chose to take what I built and present it as yours. And now everyone knows. He sat back in his chair. The sweat was worse now. He was trying to figure out his options, and I could see him running through them, one by one, dismissing them. He couldn't fire me for cause because the evidence was public. He couldn't sue me for defamation because I hadn't said anything that wasn't true. He could try to spin it, but spin only works when the truth isn't sitting in every inbox from the mailroom to the C-suite. Clean out your desk, he said. You're fired. HR will send you the paperwork. I stood up. I was shaking, but I don't think he saw it. I want my severance. You're not getting severance. You violated company policy. Show me the policy. He blinked. Show me the policy that says you can't forward an email that proves your boss is a fraud. I'll have legal look at it. You do that. And while you're at it, have them look at the retaliation clause in the employee handbook. The one that says the company won't take adverse action against employees who report misconduct. This isn't misconduct. This is insubordination. Tell them that. Tell them I forwarded a thread that you were a part of. Tell them your own words are misconduct. I left his office and walked to my desk. My cube was 2 rows from his. The same glass walls. The same fluorescent lights. The same silence from everyone who was pretending not to watch. I opened the top drawer and pulled out the photo of my daughters. The one from the beach last summer. I pulled out a stack of notes from my monitor, the ones I'd written to myself. I left the laptop. I left the monitor. I left the file folders with my name on them because I knew they'd get recycled anyway. Sarah from accounting walked past me in the hall. She didn't look at me, but she reached out and touched my arm. A small thing. A thing I wouldn't have noticed if I wasn't hyper-aware of everything. I walked out of the building at 9:47 a.m. At 10:02 a.m., I called my husband again. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. I got fired. I'm on my way home. I didn't tell him the full story. I didn't tell him about the schedule send or the thread or the words, just have the intern do it. I just said I got fired and I needed him to be there when I got home. He didn't call me back. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 15 minutes. I didn't cry. I thought about the way Tom's face had looked when I said his own words back to him. I thought about the way Sarah had touched my arm. I thought about the photo of my daughters and how I'd put it in my bag without making a scene. And then I made a call. Not to Michael. Not to HR. To the woman who used to be my mentor at the last firm I worked for. The one who'd left to start her own agency. The one who, 2 weeks ago, had sent me a LinkedIn message asking if I was open to exploring opportunities. I didn't take that meeting. I told myself I was loyal to Tom. I told myself the Meridian project was too important to leave in the middle. Now I was sitting in my car with my box of personal items and my phone battery at 14%, and I called her back. She answered on the first ring. Elena, I can't talk long, I'm in a meeting. This is going to sound crazy. Everything sounds crazy today. Go ahead. I might be looking for a job. Soon. There was a pause. I heard her shuffle papers. How soon? Today. Or tomorrow. I need to work. I have a position. Senior strategist. Competitive. You'd be going up against the firm you just left. I know. Are you sure? Because if you take this, you'll be working directly against them. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm building a team to take their biggest accounts, and if you're in, you're in. No half measures. I looked at my phone. The battery was at 12%. I looked at the box on the seat next to me. The photo of my daughters. A stack of notes. A pen I'd stolen from a hotel. When can I start? Come by the office at noon. We'll talk. I hung up. I started the car. And for the first time that day, I felt something that wasn't anger. It was a pulse. A slow, steady pulse that felt a lot like who I was before I gave all my good years to a man who couldn't even be bothered to remember my daughters' names. At 11:15 a.m., I walked into my house and found Michael sitting on the couch. The TV was off. The blinds were closed. He looked up at me like he was bracing for something. I got fired. I know. I saw the email. Someone sent it to me. Who? Does it matter? Everyone's seen it. Half the people I know are asking me what you were thinking. Were you going to tell me that's what he said the intern line? I didn't answer that. Diana, I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to figure out how to tell you this. And I don't know how. Tell me what? He looked at his hands. He has these hands that used to hold mine when we were younger, when we'd walk through the park on Sundays, and he'd tell me he'd never let anything bad happen to me. Your work was always your priority, he said. You know that. I know that. We both know that. Michael. What are you trying to say? I'm trying to say that I can't do this anymore. Can't do what yes. This. Me waiting around for you to come home. Me being the one who holds things together while you chase promotions and deadlines. I'm done. I sat down across from him. I didn't cry. I thought I might, but I didn't. I just looked at him, and I realized for the first time in 17 years that I didn't actually know what he was thinking. I didn't know because I'd stopped asking. Who is she? His face went still. What? Who is she? Because this isn't about my work schedule. You've been fine with my schedule for 17 years. So who is she? He didn't answer. I'm going to ask you one more time. Who is she? A woman from the gym. It's not serious. Not serious. You're telling me you're leaving me for someone who's not serious. I'm telling you I don't want to be married to someone who only comes home to sleep. I stood up. My hands were shaking. I put them in my pockets. Do you have any idea what I did today? Do you have any idea what I just lost? It's just a job. Just a job. I've been working for that company for 6 years. I've been working for that promotion for 8 months. And today I walked out of there with a box and a firing letter, and you're telling me it's just a job. He didn't answer. Here's what's going to happen, I said. I'm going to leave this house and I'm going to go to an interview. And when I come back, we're going to have a conversation. A real one. About everything. About you. About her. About the 17 years you wasted pretending to be supportive while you waited for the right moment to tell me you're done. Diana, that's not fair. Fair. You used that word. Fair. And I'm using it now. Fair means you give someone the chance to fix something. Fair means you don't wait until the worst day of her life to tell her it's over. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it behind me like I was leaving for a regular Tuesday. And then I got in my car and I drove to her office. The mentor. The competitor. The woman who was going to give me a chance when everyone else was watching me fall. By noon, I was sitting in her conference room with an offer letter in front of me. The same job, basically. Senior strategist. A title that meant something. A team that respected boundaries. A salary that was 15% higher than what Tom had been paying me. I didn't even negotiate. I said yes. I signed. And at 12:17 p.m., I sent a text to Michael that said, I got a job. At a competitor. I'll be home at 6. We need to talk. He didn't respond. I sat in my car outside the new office building, and I realized what I'd just done. I'd worked for 6 years for a man who was threatened by me. I'd loved a man for 17 years who was jealous of me. And in one day, I'd undone both. The thing you need to understand about 3:01 a.m. is that it doesn't seem that late until you're the one waiting for it. I set that email to go out at 3:01 a.m. because I wanted it to land in their inboxes at first light. I wanted them to wake up to it. I wanted it to be the first thing they saw. But I didn't expect it to be the first thing I saw when I woke up to my husband's empty side of the bed. That's not true. I did expect it. I just didn't think I'd care. I sat in my car for another 20 minutes after signing the offer letter. Just sitting. Engine off. Windows up. The parking lot of a competitor's building, the one I was going to walk into tomorrow morning, the one where nobody knew me except the woman in the conference room who'd just handed me a pen. My phone buzzed. A text. Not Michael. Tom. You made a huge mistake. This isn't over. I stared at it. He was right about one thing. It wasn't over. But he was wrong about the mistake part. The mistake was staying. The mistake was letting him put his name on my work. The mistake was thinking if I just tried harder, he'd see what I was worth. I didn't text him back. I turned off my phone and drove home. The house was empty. Michael's car was gone. The blinds were still closed. The TV was still off. I walked through the kitchen and saw the coffee cup in the sink. His. From this morning. He'd made coffee while I was getting fired. He'd made coffee and sat on the couch and waited for me to come home so he could tell me he was done. I poured the coffee down the drain. I washed the cup. I dried it and put it back in the cabinet. I know that sounds small, but I needed to do something normal. Something that didn't involve email threads or competitor offers or my husband of 17 years telling me he wanted out. At 1:30, I called my best friend, Rachel. She answered on the third ring. I could hear noise in the background, her kids' voices, a dog barking. Hey, I can't talk long. Is everything okay? I got fired. Wait, what, you got fired? From the company you've been killing yourself for? Yes. But I got another job. At the competitor. I start tomorrow. That's insane. That's the fastest hiring I've ever heard. I know. It was already in motion. I just didn't know it. She paused. I could hear her moving to a quieter room. Okay, so what happened? The truth. Not the version you'd tell your mother. I told her. The email. The 3:01 a.m. schedule. The thread. The words. Tom's face when he said I was done. Holy shit, she said. Yeah, you didn't tell me you were doing that. I didn't know I was doing it until I did it. I was just so angry. I was so tired. And when I got home that night, I just sat in the kitchen and I thought about all the meetings he took, all the presentations he gave, all the people who thought he was the one who built it. And I just sent it. Yeah. Did you mean to? I don't know. I think I did. I think I wanted to. But I didn't think it would actually go out. I set the time wrong. I fixed it. I thought I set it for 3 in the afternoon. But I didn't. I set it for 3 in the morning. So everyone saw it. Everyone saw it. The whole company. Including the client. Including the board. She was quiet for a long time. I heard one of her kids yell something in the background. She said 1 minute to them and then came back. Are you okay? No. Is there anything I can do? Can you give me a place to stay just for a few days? I don't think I can be in this house right now. What happened with Michael? I'll tell you when I see you. It's a lot. She gave me her address. I knew it. I'd been there 100 times. But she gave it to me anyway, like I was a stranger who needed directions, and I didn't correct her because I needed that. I needed someone to treat me like I was new to all of this. I packed a bag. 2 days of clothes. My laptop. The photo of my daughters. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter. I didn't plan that. It just came off when I was washing my hands, and I didn't put it back on. At 2:30, I drove to Rachel's house. She was waiting on the front porch with a glass of wine and a look that said she'd already made up her mind about Michael. Come inside, she said. Tell me everything. I told her everything. From the beginning. From the day Tom walked into my office and said the Meridian project was shifting to his oversight. From the day I started to realize that visibility meant credit. From the day Michael started coming home later and later, saying he was at the gym, saying he needed to get back in shape. She listened. She didn't interrupt. She poured me a second glass of wine and waited until I was finished. What are you going to do? She said. About Michael, about everything. About the job. About the house. About what comes next. I'm going to work. I'm going to be better at my job than I've ever been. And I'm going to make them regret losing me. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have right now. She nodded. She didn't push. She's always been good at that. Knowing when to push and when to wait. At 6 o'clock, I called Michael. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. I'm staying at Rachel's tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. But I need you to tell me something. What was the last thing I said to you before you told me you were done? What were we talking about? I hung up. I didn't expect him to call back. And he didn't. At 7 o'clock, Rachel made dinner. Pasta. She burned the garlic. I ate it anyway. She told me about her daughter's soccer game and her husband's new promotion, and I listened and I realized I hadn't been listening to anyone for a very long time. I'd been so focused on work, on proving myself, on being the one who could handle anything, that I'd stopped hearing the people who were still talking to me. After dinner, I sat on her couch and opened my laptop. I had emails. Dozens of them. From people I'd worked with. From people who'd seen the thread. From people I'd never met who were writing to say they'd been in the same position, that they knew what it felt like to have your work stolen, that they were sorry. One of them was from the project lead. The one Tom had sent the original email to. The one who'd forwarded it to me 3 months ago. I wanted to tell you in person, he wrote, but I didn't know how. What he did was wrong. What you did was wrong too. But I think you probably know that. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. I read that email 4 times. I didn't cry. I just kept reading it. Because he was right. What I did was wrong. I'd burned my career at that company to the ground. I'd taken a match to 6 years of work because I was angry and tired, and I wanted people to know the truth. But I wasn't sorry. That's the thing. I wasn't sorry. I was sorry about how it happened. I was sorry about the collateral damage. I was sorry about the people who'd have to clean up the mess. But I wasn't sorry about the truth coming out. I wasn't sorry that everyone in that building finally knew what Tom had been doing. At 9:30, my phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Are you coming home tonight? No. Then when are we going to talk tomorrow? At the house. After I'm done with work. You don't have a job. I start tomorrow. At the competitor, yes. Jesus, Diana. You couldn't have waited for what, for you to tell me you're done with me? No. I couldn't wait. He didn't respond after that. I slept on Rachel's couch that night. I don't think I actually slept. I think I just lay there with my eyes closed, replaying everything. The coffee machine at 3 Forks. The high-pitched whine. Sarah from accounting holding up her phone. The red Corsair with the folded-in mirror. The words on the screen. Just have the intern do it. She's got the bandwidth. I woke up at 5 o'clock the next morning. I showered. I put on the suit I'd packed. The one I'd bought for the Meridian presentation that Tom gave without me. I didn't wear it because I had a meeting. I wore it because I needed to feel like someone who hadn't been fired the day before. At 7:30, I walked into the competitor's office. The building was newer than the one I'd left. More windows. More light. The woman who'd hired me, Helen, was waiting at the front desk with a badge and a smile. Ready to get to work, ready. She took me to my office. It wasn't a corner office. It didn't have a window that faced the freeway. But it had a door. A real door. And a desk that was big enough for 2 monitors and a cup of coffee. The team is going to brief you at 9, she said. Your first project is going to be hard. You're going to be working on a pitch for a client that your old firm is also pitching. We'll be going head to head. I know. I need to know if you're okay with that. Because it's going to be personal. They're going to try to undercut us. They're going to use everything they know about you. And I need you to be ready for it. I'm ready. She looked at me for a moment. She's older than me, maybe late 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes. She's the kind of woman who's been underestimated her whole career and learned to use it. You're not just ready, she said. You're dangerous. And I mean that as a compliment. I didn't know how to respond to that. So I didn't. I just opened my laptop and started reading the brief. The first day was a blur. Briefings. Introductions. A lot of names I was going to forget. But the work was good. The team was sharp. And nobody asked me to make coffee or fix someone else's mistakes. At 6 o'clock, I left the office. I drove to the house. Michael was waiting on the front porch. He was wearing the shirt I'd bought him for his birthday. The blue one. I noticed that. I noticed everything. Come inside, he said. We need to talk. We sat in the living room. The blinds were open now. The TV was off. He'd cleaned the kitchen. The coffee cup was gone. The sink was empty. I don't know where to start, he said. Start with who she is. Her name is Laura. She's a trainer at the gym. I've been seeing her for 6 months. 6 months. That was before the Meridian project. Before Tom moved my slides to the appendix. Before I started working late nights to fix his mistakes. 6 months, I said. Yes. Did you think about telling me? I wanted to. I couldn't. Couldn't. You're using the word couldn't. Like there was something stopping you. I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of you. Afraid of what you'd say. Afraid of what it would do to the kids. The kids. Our daughters. The ones who called me every Sunday from college. The ones who asked if I was coming home for Thanksgiving. Did you think about what this would do to them? Yes. And you did it anyway. He didn't answer. 6 months, I said. You've been lying to me for 6 months. While I was working 60-hour weeks. While I was trying to save my career. While you were telling me I was working too hard. I didn't know how to stop it. Stop what? The affair or the lying? Both. I stood up. I walked to the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water. I didn't drink it. I just stood there holding it. Do you love her? I don't know. You don't know. 6 months and you don't know. I love you. I've always loved you. But I don't know if I can be married to you. That was the line. The one I'd been waiting for. The one I'd known was coming since the night he told me he was done. And when he said it, I felt something shift. Not a breaking. A loosening. A release. Okay, I said. Okay. If you can't be married to me, then I can't be married to you either. But I want you to know something. What? I'm not the one who gave up. I'm not the one who walked away. I'm not the one who stopped trying. That's not fair. Fair. You keep using that word. And I keep telling you. Fair means you give someone a chance. You didn't give me a chance. You decided. Without telling me. You decided and then you waited until you had an excuse. I drank the water. I set the glass down. I'm going to stay at Rachel's tonight. And tomorrow. And the day after that. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to build something new. And when I'm ready, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to decide what I want. Diana. Don't. Just don't. You had your turn. Now it's mine. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it behind me. And for the first time in 17 years, I didn't feel guilty about leaving. I stayed at Rachel's for 4 more days. For days of waking up at 5, showering, putting on the same suit because I hadn't gone back for the rest of my clothes, and driving to the new office. For days of learning names, learning systems, learning the rhythm of a place that didn't have Tom in it. The work was good. It was better than good. It was the kind of work I'd been doing before I started reporting to a man who needed to feel smarter than everyone in the room. The team was younger than I was used to, but they were hungry. They asked questions. They pushed back. They didn't assume I knew everything just because I had more years. On the 5th day, I went back to the house. Michael wasn't there. I packed the rest of my clothes. I packed my books. I packed the photo albums and the kids' artwork from when they were small. I left everything else. The furniture. The kitchenware. The bed we'd shared for 17 years. I didn't know if I was leaving for good. I didn't know if I was coming back. I just knew I couldn't stay in a house where the air still smelled like his coffee and the silence on the other side of the bed was louder than any argument we'd ever had. I rented a studio apartment 2 blocks from the new office. Small. Bare walls. A kitchenette that had 1 burner and a sink. I didn't care. I cared about the lock on the door. I cared about the fact that no one else had a key. Rachel helped me move. She brought her husband's truck, and she didn't say a word about the fact that I was leaving 17 years of marriage in cardboard boxes. She just loaded the truck and drove, and helped me carry everything up the stairs. Are you okay? She asked when we were done. I don't know. That's okay. She hugged me. She left. And I sat on the floor of my new apartment surrounded by boxes, and I didn't open any of them. At work, things started moving fast. The pitch we were building was for a client I knew well. I'd worked on their account at the old firm. I knew their priorities. I knew their pain points. I knew what Tom would say to them because I'd been in meetings where he said the same thing to other clients. Helen pulled me into her office on day 7. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest. Okay. Can you work on this pitch without letting your personal feelings get in the way? I can. Because if you can't, I need to know now. I can't have you in the room if you're going to go after Tom personally. This is about winning the client, not settling scores. I know. Do you? Because I've seen the emails. I know what he did. And I know what you did. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying that the client doesn't care about either of those things. They care about results. I've been doing this for 12 years. I know how to separate the work from everything else. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. Good. Because you're lead on this. You're going to present to the client. And I need you to be the best version of yourself. I didn't tell her that I didn't know who that was anymore. I just said yes and walked out of her office. The next 2 weeks were a blur. Long days. Late nights. I stopped going home to the apartment. I slept on the couch in my office 3 times. I drank coffee from a machine that made the same high-pitched whine as the one at 3 Forks, and I didn't think about the fact that I was replaying the same scene with a different cast. The pitch was scheduled for a Thursday. A week before that, I got a call from Michael. He'd been calling every few days. I'd been letting them go to voicemail. But this time I answered, I need to talk to you, he said. About what? About the house. About the kids. About us. There's no us. You made that clear. I made a mistake. You made a lot of mistakes. Which one are you talking about? He was quiet. I could hear him breathing. I could hear the TV in the background. The same TV. The same couch. The same life he'd been living while I was killing myself for a man who wouldn't even shake my hand in the hallway. I told Laura it was over, he said. You told her? Yes. And what did she say? She was upset. Of course she was. You told her you were leaving your wife for her. And then you changed your mind. I didn't change my mind. I realized I made a mistake. You're not hearing me. You made a mistake with her. You made a mistake with me. You've been making mistakes for 6 months and you think one phone call fixes it. I'm trying. I know you're trying. But trying isn't enough. You don't get credit for trying. You get credit for doing. And you haven't done anything yet. I hung up. I didn't cry. I sat in my office with the door closed and I thought about what he'd said. The words kept looping. I made a mistake. I realized I made a mistake. Like it was a typo. Like it was something he could erase with a backspace. At 8 o'clock that night, I got an email from the old firm. A forward from someone I used to work with. It was a memo from legal. They were investigating Tom. He was being put on administrative leave while they reviewed the thread and the attachments and the evidence I'd provided by hitting send at 3:01 a.m. I read the email 3 times. I felt nothing. I thought I'd feel something. Vindication. Justice. Something. But all I felt was tired. The Thursday of the pitch arrived. I woke up at 4 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I just lay in bed staring at the ceiling and thinking about the client I was about to present to. The one I'd been working with for 3 years before Tom took over. I got to the office at 6. I reviewed the deck one more time. I practiced my opening. I checked the timestamps on the attachments because I didn't want to repeat the same mistake twice. At 8, we got in the car. Helen and me and 2 other people from the team. We drove to the client's office. I didn't talk. I just watched the city go by and I thought about what it felt like to walk into a room where you're the one who knows the most. The client was in a conference room on the 23rd floor. I'd been there before. I knew the view. I knew the coffee they served. I knew the assistant's name and the way she smiled when she handed you a folder. Tom wasn't there. They were presenting later that day. I'd checked. The schedule was public. We sat down. The client looked at me and said, I didn't expect to see you here. Life moves fast. Clearly. I heard about the email. Did you read it? I skimmed it. What did you think? He paused. He's a man in his late 60s, sharp suit, sharp eyes. He's the kind of person who's been lied to so many times he can smell it before the sentence ends. I thought you were telling the truth. I didn't say anything. I also thought it was unprofessional. But I've been doing this long enough to know that sometimes the truth is unprofessional. Helen jumped in. She talked about the proposal. She talked about the team. She talked about the vision. And then she handed the floor to me. I presented for 45 minutes. I didn't look at my notes. I didn't read from the slides. I just talked. I talked about the work we'd done before. I talked about what we could do now. I talked about the mistakes the old firm had made and how I'd fix them every time without credit. When I was done, the client was quiet. Then he leaned back in his chair and said, I think I'd rather work with someone who's been on the ground than someone who's been in the corner office. I didn't smile. I didn't react. I just sat there and waited for him to say more. I'm going to need to see the rest of the team, he said. But I think we're close. We left the building. Helen put her hand on my shoulder and said, that was the best pitch I've ever seen. I didn't answer. I walked back to the car and I sat in the back seat and I let myself feel one thing. Just one. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't victory. It was the absence of anxiety. The absence of the knot I'd been carrying in my chest for months. That night, I went back to my apartment. I opened one of the boxes. The one with the photo albums. I pulled out the one from our wedding. I sat on the floor and I flipped through it page by page. Michael. Me. The church. The reception. The cake we'd cut with a knife that was too small and the way he laughed when I smeared frosting on his nose. I closed the album. I put it back in the box. I taped the box shut. I got a call at 9. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. It was Laura. I got your number from Michael's phone. I need to talk to you. No. Please. Just 5 minutes. I don't want to talk to you. Then just listen. I'm not going to try to justify what happened. I just need you to know that he was the one who started it. He came to me. Did you think that would make it better? No. I thought you deserved to know. He's been telling people I pursued him. That I wouldn't take no for an answer. That's not true. I listened. I didn't know if she was telling the truth. I didn't care. I cared about the fact that she was calling me and not Michael. That she was telling me something he should have told me himself. Thank you for telling me, I said. You're welcome. Don't call me again. Okay. She hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor of my apartment with the lights off, and I thought about the two of them. The way they'd looked at each other. The way he'd lied to both of us. The next day, I went to the office. I was the first one there. I made coffee. I opened my laptop. I started working. At 10 o'clock, Helen called me into her office. She closed the door. I need to tell you something. What are we won the pitch? The client signed this morning. They want to move fast. That's good. It's not just good. It's great. You're going to lead the implementation. And I'm giving you a raise. I didn't know what to say. Say something. Thank you. That's all you've got. I don't know what else to say. I've been fired. I've been betrayed. I've been lied to by my boss and my husband. And now I'm sitting here getting a raise, and I don't know how to feel about any of it. Helen looked at me. She's been through something similar. I don't know what it is. She never told me. But I could see it in her face. That look you get when you've rebuilt yourself from the ground up and you're still not sure if the foundation is solid. You feel tired, she said. And that's okay. You're allowed to be tired. But you're also allowed to be proud. I went back to my office. I closed the door. I sat at my desk and I thought about what she'd said. You're allowed to be proud. I wasn't proud. I was just relieved. Relieved that something had gone right. Relieved that I hadn't destroyed everything I'd worked for. But I knew that wasn't enough. Relieved wasn't going to get me through the next 6 months. Relieved wasn't going to help me figure out what came next with Michael. Relieved wasn't going to answer the question I kept asking myself at 4 in the morning. What do I actually want? The answer was simple. I wanted to be done. Done with Tom. Done with Michael. Done with the version of myself that thought if I just worked hard enough, I'd finally be enough. The problem was that I didn't know how to get there. The next week was the kind of week that makes you forget what day it is. Implementation meetings. Client calls. A team that was suddenly looking to me for answers I didn't always have. I stayed late, not because I had to, but because staying late meant I didn't have to go home to an empty apartment and think about what came next. On Tuesday, Michael called again. I answered because I was tired of ignoring him. Tired of the phone buzzing on my desk like a reminder of everything I was trying to leave behind. We need to talk about the house, he said. The house. It's not fair to leave everything in limbo. We need to decide what we're doing with it. You want to sell it? I want to know what you want. I don't want anything. You can have it. You can keep the house and the furniture and everything in it. I don't care. Diana, that's not how this works. It's exactly how this works. You wanted to leave. You want it out. So you can have the house and everything that comes with it. I don't want the house. Then what do you want? I want to fix this. You can't fix this. This isn't a broken dishwasher. This isn't a mistake on a spreadsheet. This is 17 years of marriage. You can't fix that with a conversation. Then what can I do? Leave me alone. I hung up. I sat at my desk and I stared at the wall. The wall was white. There was a spot on it where someone had spilled coffee and tried to clean it up. I stared at that spot for a long time. At 3 o'clock that afternoon, I got an email from the old firm. It was from legal. They wanted to schedule a deposition. They were building a case against Tom. They needed my testimony. I forwarded it to Helen. What do you think? I asked. She came to my office. She closed the door. I think you need to decide what you want out of this, she said. I want him to pay for what he did. Okay. But what does that mean? Do you want him fired? Do you want a settlement? Do you want to drag this out for years? I don't know. Then don't answer their email yet. Wait until you know. I didn't respond to legal. I just sat there and thought about what Helen had said. I didn't know what I wanted. I'd been so focused on the anger that I hadn't thought about the end game. That night, I went to Rachel's for dinner. Her husband was out of town. The kids were asleep. It was just the two of us and a bottle of wine and a table that had crumbs on it from lunch. How are you doing? She asked. I don't know. You keep saying that. Because I don't know. I'm doing well at work. I'm making money. I'm building something new. But every time I think I'm okay, something happens. What happened? Michael called. He wants to fix it. And what do you want? I don't know. She poured me more wine. She's always been good at that. Knowing when to pour and when to talk. Here's what I think, she said. I think you've been so busy surviving that you haven't given yourself permission to want anything. And that's fine. It's normal. But at some point, you're going to have to figure out what you actually want. I want to be happy. That's not a plan. That's a wish. Then what's a plan? A plan is what you do tomorrow. A plan is who you call. A plan is the decision you make when you wake up. You can want to be happy, but you need to know what happy looks like. I didn't answer. I didn't know how to answer. Because I'd been so busy for so long that I'd stopped asking myself that question. On Thursday, I went back to the old firm. Legal had scheduled the deposition. I didn't fight it. I just showed up at 10 o'clock with my lawyer and sat in a room with 4 people who were all looking at me like I was the key to something. I just want to get the facts on the record, the lead attorney said. Can you walk us through the email chain? Yes. And the timestamp. It was scheduled for 3:01 a.m. At that time, were you aware of any company policies that prohibited forwarding internal communications? I was aware that forwarding internal communications could be a violation of policy. I was also aware that the policy was unevenly enforced. Unevenly enforced, I'd seen other employees forward internal threads without consequences. I was also aware that Tom had been forwarding communications without consequence for years. The attorney paused. What do you mean by that? I mean that Tom often forwarded internal communications to people who weren't authorized to receive them. I have copies. I can provide them if necessary. The room went quiet. I'd done my research. I'd spent hours going through old emails, old attachments, old threads that Tom had forwarded to people outside the company. I knew what I had. I knew what it was worth. The attorney looked at me. I looked back. We're going to need to see those emails, she said. Of course. I handed her a flash drive. I'd prepared it the night before. I knew exactly what I was doing. The deposition lasted 3 hours. When it was over, I walked out of the building and I didn't look back. I didn't think about the people I'd worked with. I didn't think about the office I'd had. I didn't think about the morning Sarah from accounting had shown me the thread. I thought about the flash drive. I thought about what I'd just done. I thought about the fact that I'd just gone from being the person who sent one incriminating email to the person who had a dossier of evidence. That night, I went home. I opened a bottle of wine. I drank it alone. I got a call from Michael at 11 o'clock. I answered because I was tired of not answering. Did you testify today? He asked. Yes. Against Tom? Yes. Are you okay? I don't know. Diana, don't. Just don't. I don't want to hear your voice right now. I don't want to hear about how worried you are. I don't want to hear about how you've changed. I don't want to hear anything. Then why did you answer, I don't know? The next morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I showered. I went to the office. I did my job. I went home. I ate dinner alone. I went to bed. I kept doing that. Day after day. I didn't talk to Michael. I didn't talk to Tom. I didn't talk to Laura. I just worked and ate and slept. On Saturday, Rachel called. I'm taking you to lunch. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're pretending to be fine. There's a difference. We went to a place near my apartment. A small cafe. She ordered for both of us. I didn't argue. Michael called me, she said. When yesterday. He wanted to talk about you. What did you tell him? I told him to leave you alone. Did he know? I didn't say anything. I picked at my food. I didn't eat. Here's what I'm going to say, Rachel said. And I'm going to say it once. You need to decide what you want. Not what you think you should want. Not what Michael wants. Not what Tom wants. What you want. I don't know. Yes, you do. You've always known. You're just afraid to admit it. I looked at her. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her she was wrong. But she wasn't. She was right. I knew what I wanted. I'd known for weeks. I just hadn't said it out loud. I want to be done, I said. I want to be done with all of it. The job. The marriage. The house. The money. I want to be done. That's not a plan, she said. It's a start. On Monday, I went back to the office and told Helen I wanted to meet with legal. I had a plan. It wasn't a good plan. But it was a plan. I want to offer a settlement, I said. To the old firm. I want to offer to drop the lawsuit in exchange for a formal statement from the board that Tom's actions were wrong. I don't want money. I don't want an apology. I want them to admit it in writing. Helen looked at me. That's going to be hard. I know. Are you sure you want to do this? You could walk away. You could just ignore it and move on. I've been ignoring things my whole life. I'm done ignoring things. She agreed to help. She made the calls. She arranged the meetings. And on Wednesday, I sat in a conference room with 2 lawyers from the old firm, and I made them an offer they couldn't refuse. You have a choice, I said. You can fight this for years. You can pay your lawyers millions of dollars. You can watch the story get leaked to the press, and you can watch your stock price drop. Or you can do what I'm asking and make it go away. Your demands are extreme, one of them said. My demands are specific. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking for the truth. And if you think that's extreme, then we don't have anything else to discuss. They asked for time to think. I gave them a deadline. 3 days. I went back to the office and I did my job. I didn't wait for their response. I just worked. On Thursday, I got the call. They accepted. The statement was going to be released to all employees. It would say that Tom had been found to have misrepresented his contributions and that he was no longer with the company. It would say that I'd been a key contributor to the Meridian project and that the company regretted the circumstances of my departure. It wasn't an apology. But it was a start. I walked into Helen's office. I sat down. I told her what happened. Are you okay? She asked. I think so. Good. Because I need you to know something. I've been watching you. And I think you're ready. Ready for what? Ready for the next step. We're opening a new division. Strategy and innovation. I want you to run it. I didn't know what to say. You'll have your own budget. Your own team. Your own budget. You'll report to me. No one else. Are you serious? I'm serious. You've earned it. I sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't laugh. I just nodded. Okay, I said. I'll do it. Good. Because you're already scheduled for a briefing tomorrow morning. I left her office. I went back to my desk. I closed the door. And for the first time in 6 months, I felt something that wasn't anger. It was pride. Real pride. The kind that comes from knowing you built something with your own hands. At 8 o'clock that night, I called Michael. He answered on the first ring. I need to see you, I said. Okay. I'm coming over. We need to talk. About what? About everything. About us. About what comes next. Are you going to tell me you're done? I'm going to tell you that I'm done being afraid. I drove to the house. I walked in. He was sitting on the couch. The same couch. The same TV. The same life. Thank you for coming, he said. I didn't come for you. I came for me. I sat down across from him. Here's the thing, I said. I've spent the last 6 months thinking about what I should have done differently. I should have seen the signs. I should have fought harder. I should have noticed you were pulling away. I should have told you. Yeah, you should have. But you didn't. And now we're here. Diana, let me finish. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to tell you that I'm done being angry. Not because I forgive you. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of carrying this weight. I'm tired of waking up every morning and remembering what you did. I'm tired of being the person who got left behind. You didn't get left behind. I'm still here. No, you're not. You're sitting in a house that used to be ours. You're wearing a shirt I bought you. You're looking at me like I'm the one who broke this. But you're not here. You haven't been here for a long time. He looked at his hands. I don't know how to fix this. Good. Because you can't. I paused. I let that land. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying it because it's true. You can't fix this. Because this isn't broken. It's over. And the difference matters. How is that different? When something's broken, you can repair it. You can find the pieces and put them back together. But when something's over, There's nothing to repair. There's just the thing it used to be. Are you telling me we're over? I'm telling you that I don't know. I'm telling you that I can't answer that question right now. Because I don't know what I want. And I'm not going to pretend I do just to make you feel better. Then what are you telling me? I'm telling you that I'm done waiting. I'm done waiting for you to be the husband I needed. I'm done waiting for Tom to give me credit. I'm done waiting for some day when everything will finally make sense. I'm done waiting. He didn't answer. He just looked at me. I've spent 17 years building something, I said. A marriage. A career. A life. And I let other people decide what it was worth. I let you decide I was the one who made you unhappy. I let Tom decide I was just someone who had bandwidth. And I don't want to do that anymore. So, what do you want? I want to decide for myself. I want to figure out what I want and I want to go after it. And I can't do that with you. The words hung there. They were true. And they were hard. But they were true. I stood up. I walked to the door. I didn't look back. And then I stopped. You know what the worst part is, I said. I thought about you. Every time I was in a meeting with Tom. Every time he took credit for my work. Every time I stayed late to fix his mistakes. I thought about you. I thought about coming home to you. I thought about how you were the reason I kept going. I turned around. He was standing now. His face looked like someone who'd just been hit by something he didn't see coming. That's not a weapon, I said. That's just the truth. I thought about you. And I came home. And you were already gone. I opened the door. The cold air hit my face. I'm not coming back, I said. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not ever. I'm done waiting for you to love me the way I needed to be loved. I walked out. I closed the door behind me. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about not coming back. The morning after I walked out of the house, I woke up in my apartment and I didn't feel anything. Not relief. Not sadness. Not the hollow ache I'd been carrying for weeks. Just a flat, quiet nothing that felt like the inside of a room after all the furniture has been moved out. I went to work. I ran the briefing for the new division. I met with the team. I made decisions. I signed things. I did everything I was supposed to do, and I didn't think about Michael. I didn't think about the house. I didn't think about the way he'd looked at me when I said I wasn't coming back. I just worked. Helen called me into her office at 4. She had a document on her desk. The official statement from the old firm. The one that admitted Tom had misrepresented his contributions. The one that said I'd been a key contributor. The one that was going to be sent to every employee on Monday. I wanted you to see it first, she said. I read it. It was exactly what I'd asked for. No more. No less. It didn't apologize. It didn't mention the email thread. It just stated the facts and moved on. Are you happy? She asked. I don't know. That's okay. You don't have to be. I left her office. I went back to my desk. I sat down. I opened my laptop. I started working. At 6, Rachel called. I'm coming over. We're having dinner. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're doing the thing where you pretend everything's okay. And I'm not letting you do it alone. She showed up with takeout. Thai food. My favorite. She spread it out on the counter and handed me a fork. Eat, she said. I ate. She watched me. Did you read the statement? I asked. I saw it. It's good. It's not good. It's just a statement. It doesn't change anything. It changes everything. They admitted they were wrong. In writing. That's huge. I didn't answer. I just kept eating. Talk to me, she said. About what? About him. About Michael. About what happened last night. I told him I wasn't coming back. And I meant it. I don't know what that means. But I meant it. That's a start. It's not a start. It's an ending. And I don't know what comes after an ending. She didn't have an answer for that. Neither did I. The next few days were the same. Work. Home. Work. Home. I stopped answering Michael's calls. He left messages. I didn't listen to them. He sent texts. I deleted them. On Thursday, I got a call from the old firm's legal department. They had a few more questions about the deposition. I answered them. I didn't think about it. I just answered. At 10 o'clock, Tom called. I didn't recognize the number. I answered because I didn't know it was him. Don't hang up, he said. What do you want? I want to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. I know you think I'm the bad guy. And maybe I am. But I need you to know something. What? I didn't do it to hurt you. I did it because I was afraid. I was afraid you'd take my job. I was afraid you'd make me look bad. I was afraid of what would happen if you got the credit you deserved. That's not an apology. I'm not apologizing. I'm just telling you the truth. I was afraid. And I made a choice. And I was wrong. Wrong. You were wrong. You took my work. You put your name on it. You made me stay late to fix your mistakes. And then you told the board you did it yourself. That's not wrong. That's theft. I know. And I'm going to have to live with that. Yes, you are. And I'm going to have to live with the fact that I let you do it. I let you take credit for my work. I let you make me feel like I wasn't good enough. I let you take 6 years of my life and I didn't fight back. You fought back. Not soon enough. He didn't answer. I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line. I'm not calling to argue, he said. I'm calling to tell you that I'm leaving. I'm resigning. I'm going to a smaller firm. A different industry. I'm starting over. Good. That's all you have to say. You want me to congratulate you? You want me to wish you well? No. I don't wish you well. I don't wish you anything. I just want you to leave me alone. Okay. I hung up. I sat in my office. I stared at the wall. I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt nothing. And I thought that was maybe the worst part. That I'd spent so long being angry that now that I had what I wanted, I couldn't feel it. On Friday, the statement went out. I got a dozen emails from people at the old firm. People I'd worked with. People I'd mentored. People who were telling me they were sorry and they were glad I was okay. I didn't respond to any of them. Helen came into my office at the end of the day. I think you need to take some time off. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're running on empty. And I need you to be here. All the way. Not just the part of you that shows up and does the work. I don't know what else to do. Then take a day. 2 days. A week. Go somewhere. Do something. Don't think about work. Where would I go? Anywhere. Nowhere. Just leave this building and don't come back until Monday. I didn't argue. I packed my bag. I left. I drove to the beach. It was cold. The wind was sharp. I walked along the water and I thought about nothing. I just walked. At sunset, I sat on a bench and watched the sky change colors. Orange. Pink. Purple. The kind of sunset you only notice when you're not trying to notice anything. I thought about Michael. I thought about the first time we'd come to this beach. 20 years ago. We were young. We had no money. We'd brought sandwiches and a blanket, and we'd sat on the sand until the stars came out. I thought about the day he proposed. The way he'd been so nervous, he forgot the ring in the car. The way he'd run back to get it and come back out of breath and on one knee. I thought about our wedding. The way he'd cried when I walked down the aisle. The way he'd held my hand during the vows. I thought about our daughters. The way they'd come into the world. The way he'd held them. The way he'd promised to protect them. And I thought about the 6 months. The 6 months he'd been lying to me. The 6 months he'd been telling another woman he loved her. The 6 months he'd been waiting for the right time to tell me he was done. I didn't cry. I just sat there and watched the sunset and felt nothing. The next day, I went back to the apartment. I cleaned. I organized. I threw things away. I didn't think about Michael. I didn't think about Tom. I just moved. On Sunday, I called Rachel. I'm coming to dinner tonight. I thought you were taking time off. I am. I'm taking time off from work. Not from life. She made dinner. Her husband was there. Her kids were there. It was loud and messy and normal, and I didn't have to pretend to be anything else. After dinner, Rachel and I sat on the back porch. She handed me a glass of wine. Are you okay? She asked. I think I'm getting there. Getting there is good. I keep thinking about what I want. And I keep coming back to the same thing. What to be done. Really done. Not just with Michael. With all of it. With the anger. With the guilt. With the feeling that I failed at something. You didn't fail. You survived. Surviving isn't the same as living. No, it's not. But you have to survive before you can live. I didn't answer. I just drank my wine and looked at the stars. On Monday, I went back to work. I walked in with a clear head. I sat down at my desk. I opened my laptop. I started working. Helen came into my office at 10. I need to talk to you. Okay. The old firm is making a formal offer. They want you to come back. They're offering you Tom's job. I didn't say anything. Are you going to take it? No. I didn't think you would. But I had to ask. And now I need to tell you something else. We're expanding the division. You're going to need to hire more people. And I think you should hire them from the old firm. Which ones are the ones who left because they were tired of Tom? The ones who saw what happened and didn't agree with it. The ones you've been talking to for months. How do you know about that? I know everything. It's my job. I started making calls. I called everyone I'd worked with who'd left the company in the last 2 years. I told them I had a job for them. I told them they'd get to do the work they actually wanted to do. I told them they'd never have to report to anyone who'd take credit for their ideas. By the end of the week, I'd hired 6 people. We worked late that Friday. Not because we had to. Because we wanted to. Because the work was good and the energy was right and we didn't want to stop. At 9 o'clock, I was the last one to leave. I turned off the lights. I locked the door. I walked to my car. And then I sat in the parking lot and I didn't drive anywhere. I sat there for a long time. I thought about the email. The auto email. The one I'd sent at 3:01 a.m. The one that had changed everything. I thought about how different my life would be if I hadn't sent it. I'd still be at the old firm. I'd still be working for Tom. I'd still be coming home to a husband who was lying to me. I'd still be pretending everything was fine. But I sent it. And everything changed. And I didn't know if that was good or bad. I just knew it was different. I started the car. I drove home. I went to bed. And I slept better than I had in months. The next month moved like water through fingers. Fast and impossible to hold. I hired 7 more people. We won 2 more pitches. The division went from a concept on a whiteboard to a functioning unit with its own budget and its own culture and its own way of doing things. I stopped thinking about Tom. I stopped checking my phone for messages from Michael. I stopped waking up at 4 a.m. with my heart racing and my mind already running through every mistake I'd ever made. I just worked. Helen called me into her office on a Wednesday. You're being promoted. I already run the division. You run the division. Now you're going to be a vice president. It comes with a corner office and a raise and a lot of responsibilities you didn't ask for. I didn't ask for any of this. I know. That's why I'm giving it to you. I didn't argue. I just accepted. The corner office had a window that faced the freeway, just like the old one. But this time, I didn't think about Tom. I thought about the fact that I'd earned it. All of it. That night, I went home to my apartment. I sat on the floor. I opened the box with the photo albums. I pulled out the one from our wedding. I looked at it. I looked at the picture of Michael and me cutting the cake. I looked at the way he was laughing. I looked at the way I was smiling. I looked at the 2 people who'd been so sure of everything. I closed the album. I put it back in the box. I taped the box shut. I wrote Michael on the side in black marker. I didn't throw it away. I couldn't. But I put it in the closet and I closed the door and I didn't open it again. On Friday, my phone buzzed. Michael. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. I listened to it. Diana, I need to see you. I know you don't want to talk to me. I know you're done. But I need to tell you something. I'm selling the house. I'm moving. I'm leaving the city. I just wanted you to know. I didn't call him back. I didn't text. I just sat there and listened to the message again. He was leaving. He was selling the house. He was moving away. And I didn't care. That's the thing. I didn't care. I thought I would. I thought I'd feel something. Sadness. Relief. The ache of seeing something end. But I didn't. I just felt the flat, quiet nothing that had been with me since the night I walked out of his house. I went to Rachel's. I told her. He's leaving. I said. Are you okay? I don't know. That's okay. We sat on her couch. She poured me a glass of wine. What are you going to do? She asked. Nothing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to keep living my life. That sounds like a plan. It's not a plan. It's just what I'm going to do. On Saturday, I got a call from my daughters. The older one. She was at college, 3 states away. She'd been calling every week. I'd been telling her I was fine. Mom, she said. Dad told me he's moving. I know. He's been telling me things. About you. About what happened. What did he tell you? He told me he made a mistake. He told me he tried to fix it. He told me you didn't want to try. Did he tell you about Laura? He told me there was someone else. He said it was over. He said he was sorry. Did he tell you why he left? He said he was unhappy. He said he felt like you were never there. I paused. I thought about what she'd said. He'd told her the truth. Just not all of it. Your father and I had problems, I said. Problems that started before Laura. Problems that started before I started working late. Problems that started before any of this. What kind of problems? The kind where two people stop talking to each other. The kind where two people stop being honest with each other. The kind where two people forget why they got married in the first place. So it wasn't just his fault, it was both our faults. He made choices. I made choices. And those choices led us here. Are you going to be okay? I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be better than fine. I'm going to be the person I was supposed to be before I forgot who that was. She didn't answer. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. I love you, she said. I love you too. I hung up. I sat on the floor of my apartment. I didn't cry. I just sat there and thought about what I'd said. I'd told her the truth. The real truth. Not the version I'd been telling myself. It was both our faults. That was hard to admit. Harder than any of the other things I'd admitted. On Sunday, Michael called again. I answered. I'm leaving on Friday, he said. I know. You told me. I wanted to see you before I left. Why, I don't know. I wanted to say goodbye. Properly. Not the way things ended. Things ended the way they ended. There's no proper way to say goodbye. Please. Just dinner. One night. I'll cook. I'll make the old recipe. The one you used to like. I paused. I thought about the old recipe. The pasta he used to make when we were first married. The one he'd learned from his grandmother. The one he'd only made on special occasions. Okay, I said. Wednesday night. I'll come over. Thank you. Don't thank me. It's just dinner. Wednesday came faster than I expected. I didn't know what to wear. I didn't know what to say. I just drove to the house. The house that used to be ours. He was standing in the doorway. He looked older. Tired. The kind of tired that comes from knowing you've made a mess and not knowing how to clean it up. Come in, he said. I walked in. The house was empty. The furniture was gone. The boxes were packed. The walls were bare. We sold the furniture, he said. I kept a few things. For the kids. The kids. Are they okay? They're fine. They'll be fine. We sat on the floor. He'd made the old recipe. Pasta. The one from his grandmother. He'd set out plates and glasses and a bottle of wine. This is weird, I said. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just tell me what you want to say. He poured the wine. He took a breath. I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry. Not for what happened. For how it happened. For the way I handled it. For the way I gave up before I tried to fix anything. Okay. I'm not looking for forgiveness. I'm not looking for anything. I just wanted you to know that I know what I did wrong. And I'm going to try to do better. Not for you. For me. That's a start. Don't say it's a start. Just say it's the truth. It's the truth. He nodded. He took a sip of his wine. I took a sip of mine. The thing is, he said, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I was just going through the motions. And when you started working late, when you started being so focused on your career, I felt like I was losing you. That's not an excuse. I know. It's not an excuse. It's just the truth. I looked at him. I looked at the man I'd married. The man I'd loved. The man who'd held my hand during the vows and promised to protect me. I used to think you were the one who gave up, I said. I used to think you were the one who left. But I left too. Not physically. But I left. I stopped paying attention. I stopped asking questions. I stopped being present. You were busy. I was busy. That's not an excuse. It's just the truth. We sat there in silence. The pasta was getting cold. I don't hate you, I said. I thought I did. But I don't. I'm just tired. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of being hurt. I'm tired of thinking about what we used to be. What are you tired of? I'm tired of remembering. He looked at me. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. Or he was about to dot me too, he said. I didn't say anything. I just looked at the man I'd married and I let myself feel one thing. Just one. It wasn't love. It wasn't hate. It was the recognition that we'd both changed. That we'd both made mistakes. That we'd both been wrong. I wish we'd done this sooner, I said. I know. I wish we'd talked. Me too. But we didn't. And now we're here. He nodded. Now we're here. I stood up. I walked to the door. I stopped. Thank you for the pasta, I said. It's your favorite. I know. I opened the door. I didn't look back. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye, Diana. I walked out. I got in my car. I drove home. I didn't cry. I didn't feel the flat, quiet nothing. I felt something else. Something I couldn't name. It felt like closure. Or maybe just a door closing behind me. That night, I sat in my apartment and I thought about what I'd said. I'd told him I wasn't angry anymore. And I wasn't. I wasn't angry at him. I wasn't angry at myself. I wasn't angry at Tom. I was just done. Done with all of it. The next day, I went back to work. I sat in my corner office. I looked out at the freeway. I thought about the 6 years I'd spent at the old firm. The 6 years I'd given to a man who couldn't even remember my name. I thought about the auto email. The 3:01 a.m. send. The words that had changed everything. And I thought about the person I was before I sent it. The person who was afraid. The person who didn't speak up. The person who let other people decide what she was worth. I wasn't that person anymore. I didn't know who I was. But I knew who I wasn't. I picked up my phone. I called Helen. I need to take some time off, I said. How much time? I don't know. A week. 2 weeks. I need to figure some things out. Take the time. Don't worry about work. Thank you. Don't thank me. You've earned it. I packed a bag. I drove to the beach. The same beach. The one where I'd sat and watched the sunset and felt nothing. This time I felt something. Something small. Something fragile. Something that felt like hope. I sat on the bench. I watched the sky change colors. Orange. Pink. Purple. And I thought about the future. I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know who I'd be. But I knew I'd be someone. Someone who wasn't defined by the people who'd tried to tear her down. I stayed at the beach for 3 days. I walked. I thought. I watched the sun set and rise and set again. And on the 4th day, I came back. I went to work. I sat in my corner office. I looked out at the freeway. I didn't think about Michael. I didn't think about Tom. I thought about the division I was building. The team I was leading. The work I was doing. And I thought about the person I was becoming. The person who'd been there all along. The person who just needed to be set free. I sent the email at 3:01 a.m. because I was tired. Tired of being overlooked. Tired of being undervalued. Tired of being the person who cleaned up other people's messes. But the email wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of the conversation I should have had years ago. The beginning of the questions I should have asked. The beginning of the person I was always meant to be. A month after I came back from the beach, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I couldn't go back to sleep. I lay in bed and watched the ceiling fan turn. 8 rotations. 9. 10. I counted them like I was a kid trying to fall asleep in a new room. It was the anniversary of the email. 3 months to the day since I'd sent it. Since everything had changed. I got up. I made coffee. I sat in the dark and I thought about the year that had passed. The things I'd lost. The things I'd gained. The person I'd been. I was 47 years old. I was divorced. I was a vice president. I had an apartment with bare walls and a closet that still had a box labeled Michael in it. And I was okay. Not great. Not happy every day. But okay. The divorce had been final for 2 months. We'd done it quietly. No lawyers. No court battles. I'd kept the apartment and the car. He'd kept the house and the furniture. We'd split the savings. It wasn't dramatic. It was just over. My daughters had come to visit. The older one flew in from college. The younger one drove down from the city where she was working. We'd gone to dinner. They'd asked me how I was doing. I'd told them the truth. I was doing okay. The email, the older one said. The one you sent. Are you sorry? No. Not at all, not at all. I'm sorry about the way it happened. I'm sorry that I let it get that far. But I'm not sorry about sending it. Were you scared? Yes. I was terrified. What did you think was going to happen? I thought I was going to get fired. I thought I was going to lose everything. And I did. I lost my job. I lost my husband. I lost the life I'd built. But you got it back. I got something else. Something better. I got the life I was supposed to have. They didn't understand. Not really. How could they? They were young. They hadn't been married for 17 years. They hadn't given their whole lives to people who didn't deserve it. I looked at my daughters. I looked at the women they were becoming. And I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to let them make the same mistakes I had. Here's what I want you to remember, I said. No one gets to tell you what you're worth. Not your boss. Not your husband. Not anyone. You decide. And when someone tries to take that away from you, you fight back. Not with anger. With the truth. What if the truth hurts? The truth always hurts. But it's also the only thing that sets you free. They'd nodded. They'd hugged me. They'd gone back to their lives. And I'd gone back to mine. The division was growing. We'd hired 20 people. We'd won 3 more pitches. We were the fastest growing part of the company. People were starting to notice. People were starting to ask questions about the woman who'd been fired and hired in the same day. I didn't tell them the story. Not the full one. I just said I'd had a difficult year and I'd come out the other side. Difficult year, Helen said when I told her that. That's one way to put it. What's another way? A year that could have destroyed you. A year that should have destroyed you. But it didn't. Because you're not the kind of person who gets destroyed. What kind of person am I? You're the kind of person who sends an email at 3:01 a.m. and doesn't regret it. I didn't know how to respond to that. So I just laughed. The week after the anniversary, I got an email from Tom. He'd been gone for months. I hadn't heard from him since the call when he told me he was leaving. I'm not writing to ask for anything, he said. I'm writing to tell you something. I'm at a new firm now. A small one. I'm not in charge anymore. I'm just a strategist. And it's better. I'm better. I just wanted you to know. I read the email. I didn't delete it. I just sat there and read it. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. He told me what he needed to say. And I had nothing to say back. On the same day, I got a call from Rachel. How's work? She asked. Good. How's life? Good. How's you? I'm getting there. Getting there is good. We talked for an hour. She told me about her husband's new job. About her daughter's soccer team. About the new restaurant that had opened downtown. Small things. Normal things. Things that reminded me that life was still happening around me. I sat on the floor of my apartment that night. The box labeled Michael was still in the closet. I'd never opened it. I'd never thrown it away. But I knew what I needed to do. I took the box out of the closet. I opened it. I took out the wedding album. I looked at it one last time. The photos. The cake. The flowers. The 2 people who'd been so sure of everything. I put the album back in the box. I closed it. I carried it to the trash chute in the hallway. I opened the chute. I dropped the box and it made a sound as it fell. A dull thud. Then nothing. I stood in the hallway for a long time. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel relieved. I just felt the weight of 17 years leaving my hands. I went back to my apartment. I closed the door. I went to bed. The next morning, I woke up at 5 o'clock. I showered. I put on my suit. I drove to work. I walked into the office. I sat down at my desk. I opened my laptop. And I started working. At 10 o'clock, Helen called me into her office. She had a document on her desk. A proposal. I want to give you the division, she said. Not run it. Own it. I want to make it a separate entity. A subsidiary. You'd be the CEO. What? I think you're ready. I think you've been ready for a long time. I just needed to make sure you knew it. I don't know what to say. Say yes. Yes. She smiled. Good. Because we have a lot of work to do. That night, I went home. I sat in my apartment. I looked at the bare walls. The empty space where the box used to be. And I thought about the person I was now. I was the person who'd sent the email. The person who'd been fired and hired in the same day. The person who'd walked out on a 17-year marriage. The person who'd built something from nothing. I was the person who decided she was done. I was the person who decided to live. I know how this sounds. A story about a woman who sends a late-night email and blows up her entire life. A story about a woman who gets fired and hired and divorced and promoted. A story about a woman who survives. But it's not a story. It's just what happened to me. And the thing about it is, I wouldn't change a single thing. Not the email. Not the firing. Not the divorce. Not the late nights or the early mornings or the moments I thought I couldn't go on. Because all of it led me here. To this apartment. To this job. To this life. To the person I was always meant to be. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need an apology. I didn't need anything from the people who'd tried to destroy me. I just needed to be free. I walked to the window. I looked out at the city. The lights were on in 1,000 different windows. 1,000 different lives. 1,000 different stories. And somewhere out there, there was a woman who was just like me. A woman who was tired. A woman who was angry. A woman who was about to send an email that was going to change everything. I hoped she sent it. I hoped she knew what she was doing. I hoped she ended up where I was. Looking out at the city. Knowing that the worst thing that could have happened to her was the best thing that ever did. I woke up the next morning and I didn't think about Michael. I didn't think about Tom. I didn't think about the box in the trash chute or the email at 3:01 a.m. or the day I was fired and hired and divorced all at once. I thought about today. I thought about the meeting I had at 9 o'clock. I thought about the team I was leading. I thought about the life I was building. I thought about the person I was becoming. And I smiled. Not because I was happy. Not because everything was fine. But because for the first time in my life, I knew exactly who I was. I was the woman who sent the email. The woman who walked out. The woman who built something new. The woman who didn't need anyone to tell her what she was worth. Because she already knew. And she'd never forget it again.